I'm calling this meeting of the Vader City Council to order at 6 o'clock on the money. We will need to have August 22nd, 2019. We will now have the roll call by our city clerk.
Okay, Randy Hall.
Here.
Jason Daly.
Here.
Joe Shy.
Here.
As I explained a moment ago, Mike Parson did call and ask to be excused. Leona Sander Hunter. And Mayor Wilson.
Here.
All right, you have a quorum.
Okay. Now we need to say the Pledge of Allegiance. How about you?
Me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I have a mayor's report. The city clerk and I met with the new Castle Rock School's superintendent, Ryan Green is his name, to discuss ways to better include Vader students and support of the community. We also discussed the need to increase safety while the children are crossing the highway near the school property. He said he would check with his staff and the Castle Rock mayor to see what they could do. He also talked about adding after-school program, adult learning, and an alternative learning program in Vader. He seemed to really want to support Vader families and students and help pull us all together. They are planning some fun activities this fall to be held here in Vader, like maybe a bonfire with the band comes and plays and the cheerleaders do their yells and food and fun. And I thought that would be good for the community. Also, maybe a rooter bus to go to high school games. There are some, that was some of his suggestions. And he seemed really more than willing to try to get us all on the same page. And
I thought of one other thing that we didn't put in this, Lois, if you don't mind, Mayor, if you don't mind me sharing that. We talked about that we had been told that our property there is now too small for us to put a school on, because that was one of the things he brought up is it really would make sense to have a K through 8 school back here again, and Lois and I were both saying, yeah, I think the community would be very supportive of that. And I said that what we had heard or were told was that the property wasn't big enough anymore, that the new regulations require it to be bigger. And he said, I hadn't heard that. He thought that maybe that wasn't the case, and he thought that there may be some possibility of getting the school back in one way or another. So just that idea he seemed supportive of, and actually he's the one who brought it up. And so anyways, it just was a new little light of hope that, maybe we could get our school back, and because that's one of the things we were explaining to him when he was asking how he could help support the students here and the community here, is that, when we lost the school, it kind of lost the heart of the community. Apparently, that was before I came, but it really seems like that was really the core of the community, and so that was really difficult to lose that. So anyways, he seemed supportive of that and was going to check into it and see if there's possibilities for doing that in the future. So anyways, it's not totally a lost cause.
Next, I would like to report that the project cut back the brush and vegetation along 8th Street had been completed, and they were able to make a large dent in the overgrowth and even had time to do some cutting along 10th Street. And at this time, does the council have any reports? Evidently not. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda? Anybody?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda of the city council meeting on 22nd, 2019, as written.
The motion has been, do we have a second on it? It's been submitted by Leona.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, the second, it's been seconded. Is there any other council discussion? Do we have a motion to approve?
Oh, we have to do the vote first.
Oh, yeah, okay. Do we have those in favor of the motion, say aye, and
Aye.
any opposed? The motion has passed. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Has everybody kind of looked over those?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting on August 8th, 2019.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thanks, Jason. The motion has been seconded by Jason. Is there any other council discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Do we have a motion to approve the vouchers?
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers for the end of August 2019 at $9,200.59, and making our August total for 2019 $31,569.05.
Okay, thank you. The motion has been seconded. Is there any discussion by the
Actually,
council?
it's been submitted. Now
Yeah.
we need a second.
Okay. The motion has been approved.
Nope. The motion has been submitted by Jason
Okay.
Daly, and do
Yes.
we have a second?
Do we have a second? I get it. Okay.
I'll second Jason's motion to approve the vouchers.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed. Before we hear the special reports, I'd like to take a minute really to thank the volunteers for the park board and our planning committee for their hard work and commitment. I've attended all their meetings, and I can report that they are working hard and they're really making good progress, and I really appreciate the ones that have come and worked on that. You've been really faithful and have been doing a good job, and I just wanted you to know that I noticed it. And now we'll hear from the park board.
Hi, I'm Ken Joslin. I'm on the park board, and this is Elena Knight. I made her come so she could sit in and see what we do in case one of us are not able to come. The follow-ups things that I need to address with you guys is, and thank you for that nice compliment, by the way. Thank
You guys deserve it. You
Appreciate
did really
that.
well.
So we decided as a group, and we passed it, that we wanted to get some child at play signs made up, and Elena has gotten some examples. Can you go get that to them? Sorry, we only have one copy.
Yeah.
Guess I should have made that.
We kind of, as a group, we voted on
That
number
one?
one. Can do it upside down.
Okay.
And then, so what we want to do is we want to get 3 signs put up, and I do have a copy of these. Kelly probably made these up, or Joe did, one of the two.
Nope. Just the messenger.
And so this is where we'd like to put the signs.
That, you wanted to pass that, maybe.
There we go. And so we would like to put those signs on A Street, and the corner of A Street and 6th Street. What?
No, sorry.
Okay. And we want one on each side of the one-way, and then one right there in the corner of the parking lot, I guess, is where we're proposing to, across from the church.
So would, I'm sorry, I can't
Yep.
see the map, but just, so all three would be on that corner
Yeah,
at 3 points of the 4
of
points
the
corner.
intersection.
Okay.
And I guess we could also make one, I don't know why we didn't put one, I think I did, but maybe it got missed. We could put one right there as you turn the corner next to the post office too, so people knew that there could be possibly of children. So maybe 4 signs, or moving one back. I don't think the signs cost anything, according to what I've been informed. We're very little, $35 a piece or something like that. So the dollar is not very much, but that's what we would like to. We've already approved it on our board, and I guess we need to ask for your guys' approval, stamp of approval on those. The signs, like Elena said, we decided that we liked the first one on the left that said slow, just the normal ones you see when you're driving around and stuff. And the one on the right was they kind of liked it, but I think it looked too childish and too not official enough.
So I see stop signs here,
Mhm.
but, so I see there's a sign here, or are you wanting them here? I'm confused.
Oh, okay, one there. I guess I misunderstood what her drawing meant.
I see one sign kind of over on A Street, like past
Okay,
the park.
okay, yes,
So
that's
the cars
correct.
that are
That's
coming
right, that's
towards
correct.
the park would see it there.
So then,
But that's the only one I see marked on here. Are
Okay,
there
so we're
ones
gonna put
marked
here.
Okay.
differently on yours?
So we want them there.
This is,
That's a sign.
okay, by, what is this?
That's the. Here's the word part.
Okay, yeah,
There, we want them there.
right there.
And then
And
where
then we wanted it at the, was it at the end of that A Street? Oh, I mean that lot. By Warden Park, and then down past the post office.
I think that was it. Okay.
Mhm.
So we wanted one there at the end of Wood Park, one at the post office, and then one there in the corner.
I want to see where you're
By the
pointing at.
church.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got that one.
One right there, one at the post office,
So it
and then one.
would have to be here on this corner.
Yeah, and then one here in the corner next to the church,
yeah.
right there.
Okay, I don't know if we
Here,
can put one in there,
here.
it's all asphalt there.
That's true.
And here. Why can't we
I,
put one in the
it's
ground?
all asphalt here. I don't know,
Church's asphalt.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I figured, you think one on
Here.
Here.
Yeah.
kind of do the whole street.
Mm-hmm, in there.
Well,
We could
we were
do
just
one
worried
over
about this.
here.
Right
that's
here
like-
too, yeah.
facing that
I was
way.
Yeah,
trying to-
yeah,
I was trying to
see.
see this, the 6th Street
Yeah.
heading towards the church at the stop sign, that's right there.
Okay, heading towards the church. So it would make sense to have one further down here before you get to the park.
For the park.
Yeah, what do you think?
I don't think we really care where we really.
We just see
I think that's what
that
they
more
meant.
are needed.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
Okay, so he's saying
That's
like
what
one
that's what her
here,
description
Yeah.
says.
one down here
Okay.
before you get
Yep.
to the church, and then one down
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Okay. You want to show that to
So you
Yeah.
say
But
other
it says,
people
like
down
it says wherever we can legally is what it says on there.
Yeah.
Or logistically, I
Okay.
guess,
That makes sense.
right? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think she's right. Like that new A Street's that's all
It's all paved there.
sidewalk now.
Yeah. So we have to figure out where we could get it as close to that as possible.
And then the other thing that we were trying to come up with is, and then I think it was Jill that was talking about, was the sign, the posts that we have to put in the ground. And I think you said that we have to use an official post, but I don't know why we can't just go down and buy a chain link galvanized fence post and put it in the ground, save the money.
No, I'm just saying that what we typically use for
Right,
signs
are those ones.
yeah, but then he said, why don't we just use a galvanized post? And I was like, I don't know, I suppose we could.
I mean, they're same thing, it's just lots, I mean, from Home Depot, it costs you $10 versus $30 and stuff. So that was the one thing. The picnic tables. I mean, any questions on the signs? I guess.
Do you want our opinions of them? You want?
They need to get your approval to put
Yeah.
them on the roadway like that in order to, they don't have the authority to say, yeah, put up a sign along the
So,
street. So you guys, they have it in their budget. They have the money in their budget to pay for the signs and the posts and everything, and if John puts them in. And so basically they just need your approval, and so I told them they need to show you where they wanted to put them so that you had a clue and you could say yay or nay whether you're good with the signs going up or not. So a vote would be appropriate. Or a
Yeah.
Motion
motion.
signs going up and with, wherever we can put them to legally, like I said, like I said.
Do you want to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we approve the spendage of, for signs for around the park.
Approve the installation of 3 signs.
Or
Is it,
It was 3.
well, I said 3 or 4, but we voted on 3, but we can do 4 signs.
3 or 4 signs
As long as we get it.
3 to 4.
around Worden Park. Does that sound?
Here.
Is that what you said, Jason?
yeah,
Yeah.
You motion to approve to install 3 or 4 signs around Worden Park?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is-
I'm not sure
is the
about 3 or 4
motion
signs.
Okay, well, do you want to pick one or the other?
I don't see us being able to put one on A Street because of the new construction, and we got front street parking right there, so the sign will be off of the street so far.
The only place I could see putting that is just as you turn off of 7th onto A Street,
Right by that flower.
right by the flower bed. We may be
Yeah.
able to put one right there.
Yeah.
Because there's some dirt there that we could probably put it in, but further down, yeah, it's all
Right.
pavement, so.
Yeah, whatever. I'm good with 4 signs.
If we
I-
can
those
find
signs,
4 reasonable locations.
Right, reasonable locations. Yeah.
How about up to 4 signs?
Up to 4 signs. Good.
Up
3 or 4
to
kind of
4
wish.
signs around Worden Park. Okay, so we have a motion on the table.
Do we have any more discussion?
We have to have a second.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay.
No more discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It passed.
Thank you.
And
The picnic tables were secured as of Monday.
Or mostly.
Most of them secured. Jill and John found some new design from Home Depot that they were able to stake the picnic tables into the ground. There's a big long stake, and they just pound. It's a big rebar type of thing, pound it way down in the ground, and it's got a hook on it and with some chain, and they secured the fence or the picnic tables. So they're so that was way cheaper than our other thing, because I was also going to come and ask you for a little bit more of the money than that tonight, but we were able to, with Jill's help with that, we were able to not have to do that. So those are secured. They sent us the wrong parts for 2 of them, I think it was, so she's working on that. So hopefully here real soon we'll have all 8 picnic tables secured and proper. And then we'll start working on trying to get some of them repaired, because there's a couple of them that are not in great shape, but there are just a couple boards that we can fix. I saw on your guys' agenda, and it's not on my list, but I saw on your agenda tonight that you're talking about the park host RV thing, so maybe I'll stick around for that, to listen on that stuff. So I hope that goes well, because I really think that will give some, I'll throw my 2 cents in. I think that will really throw some security on down there, if we can get somebody in there on a temporary basis until we can get something else going on. Oh, jeez. Okay, that's it. Any other questions?
no,
All right, thank you.
you.
Yes.
You want to
This is
introduce our planning
yeah.
committee?
Planning committee, thank you.
Hello, Scott Gross, Planning Committee Chairperson. Let's see, at our last meeting, we had a special meeting on Monday, the 19th, and we went over the transportation elements of our comprehensive plan. So we pretty much approved it with some small changes. One of the things that we are looking into is we are supposed to have been part of the Southwest Washington Regional Transportation Planning Organization, and it seems there's some confusion as to whether or not Lewis County is still a part of that. Were you able to get any?
Haven't figured that out
Okay,
yet.
no problem. So we're just trying to figure out, because they are supposed to be a part of the city doing their transportation planning with regards to regional transportation for busing and trains or whatever might be happening for the area. Aside from that, we approved it, again, like I said, with some minor changes, and then again, finding out if we are still part of that agency or not, so we'll know whether or not we need to update that particular part of it, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Is there more to add to that part?
I actually, yeah, my understanding from the way Gary, our planner, was explaining it is that being part of a regional transportation organization like that is another source of funding for transportation-related things, including our streets. And they can get funding packets together where they have multiple different communities with their projects, and then help us get funding for that as a group. And so what I gleaned from what he was saying was that it's really important that we have someone who's a representative from the city going to those regular meetings. And so there are a couple of different meetings that we talked about that would really help our community if we had someone who was participating in those and going on a regular basis and being Vader's representative for that particular group. The Regional Transportation Organization is one of them. And so I guess what I got from that is that if we can find either council members or members of the committees, or it can just be anyone from the public who is authorized by our elected officials to go and represent the city at these meetings and keep our face so that they don't forget about us, and so that we are aware of what opportunities are coming up. Right now, no one's going to any of those meetings. I know there's meetings about planning. I know there's meetings about economic growth. I know there's meetings about the transportation. There's meetings about several different groups, and if we were a big city and we had all these different departments, those department heads would all be going. But because we're a small city, we don't have those department heads, so we just have to rely on volunteers and somebody who cares enough about that particular topic to go and stay informed and participate. So I guess my plea to council is to see if we can come up with some ideas, whether you yourself are interested in participating, and we're working. What we decided we were going to do is put together a list of all the different organizations that meet on a regular basis, and then kind of get that out to you guys so that you can see what opportunities are out there that maybe we could try to find someone to represent Vader. So I guess that was my thought about that.
See, that's why she's here.
Yeah.
So I guess start thinking about your friends and neighbors and yourself and see who you think might be interested.
Okay, the other thing that we decided to do was we're going to hold an open house on Monday, September 23rd at 6 p.m. for the public. You council members, Madam Mayor, you're all part of the city's public. We would like you to also be here if you could. And it's going to be basically our way of having the public give their opinions and thoughts on the comprehensive plan as it sits.
Okay. A good thing.
It should be, yeah. And then I believe Gary Cooper, the city planner, stated that he anticipated us to be on track to have everything done and finished up by the end of the year. And did that include SEPA? He said we did not need to have commerce approval.
No, we do
Oh, we
need
do.
commerce approval.
It doesn't have, it can go to commerce before it goes
Yes.
to council.
Yes.
So I think his plan
That's
was
what
to
he
send
was
it to commerce and have commerce approve it. And then that way when it goes to council, unless you guys have any major changes, you would be able just to kind of push it through at that point and be done.
Yeah, kind of what I got from that was that it would be helpful for council to participate like in this open house and get familiar with it so that if you do see something before we send it off to commerce, that if you do see something, you can bring it up earlier on in this approval process and let us know. So that the idea is to get it done as quick as possible. And so it would be helpful if you guys were able to kind of look at it and if there's anything glaring that you see that's missing or that you think is out of whack when you look at that. And I will let you know as soon as the draft is ready for review. But I guess the idea is to have you guys look at it before, and then they can send it to send it to commerce. That's what takes the longest amount of time to get their review, and they're required to review it and then make comments. And typically after they review it, they will send it back with their recommendations and any required changes, things that they see that don't meet state law. So if there's anything like that they will notify us, and we'll have to make those changes if there are any. But also they make recommendations that aren't necessarily required but are up to council to decide. So anyways, that takes a little bit of time to go through, and so if we could get generally you're okay, just kind of informal, that you think everything looks like it's going in the right direction before we send it off to commerce, and then we will have an official public hearing as well besides this open house. In addition, that's a requirement so that the public can officially have their voices heard, and then it will lastly come to council.
So the public meeting is held by council, correct?
Right. The council will hold the public hearing.
Does that happen during a regular council meeting, or is that a
Yeah.
special meeting they do?
It can be at the same time.
Okay.
Just has to be publicized.
Sorry, what was the date for that again?
Monday, September 23rd, 6 p.m.
That's the informal open house.
Next week.
Thanks for clarifying for Jason, Leona.
Is it here?
Yes.
Okay. How did you come up with that?
Any questions on anything? Anybody?
No, looks like the 23rd.
Yeah, thank you for your kind sentiments, Mayor. I appreciate that as well. Happy
I'm
to be
really
of
proud of
service.
how good you guys have been working on everything.
Doing our best. Thank you.
Yeah, more than welcome.
Yes.
See, the next thing is city business and council discussion on home occupation language. Parson isn't
So,
here.
yeah, Mike isn't here, but I did call and ask him if he had anything further, and he said that at the last meeting that you guys kind of talked about it a little bit, but he felt like maybe that you guys were going to go home and look at it more in detail, the verbiage, and he wanted me to ask if council had any comments or anything after reviewing the home occupation language. He thought maybe you would have some opinions about it different from whatever was shared at the last meeting.
I think the original language, I mean, the language that's written is just fine. There was some topics to expand on, like the signs. We were supposed to try to expand on signs,
Okay.
and
I think it was parking too, wasn't it?
yeah, parking limits. So we were supposed to expand on those with a more,
Okay.
a better.
Signage, is that what you said?
So did council have any further?
Nothing further. That was my only two concerns, I think, was the signage.
Yeah, what would be safe and sane
Yeah.
to have in town.
Do you have any opinions on what you think would be, I mean, typically you're wanting to limit size.
I think we talked
Maybe
about last time, I think it was like a
location.
3x5 and it shouldn't be, it has to be up next to your house. So it's not like out in your yard, it's up next to your house or up next to your structure.
Okay. Next.
What about illumination?
Structure.
That's good. I don't know. Never even thought of the
Flash.
spotlights and the neon lights and you know, that kind of thing.
Typically in a residential area, I would think that you would have limited illumination, that maybe you could have, you know, one light shining on it and maybe, I don't know, I would think if you had a lit sign that was lit up itself, not like having a light shining on it, but it was like an electric glowing sign, I don't know. You know, I don't know. I would think that might be a little much for a residential
Right.
area.
And that's kind of why, you know, if it's up against the house and I did put a sign on it, it's shining on your house.
Okay.
You know, so.
So maybe no illuminated signs themselves where the sign itself is lit up, but it could have a light shining on it so you can see it. Is that what you're thinking?
That's,
Or I don't know, I'm
That's
putting
the-
words in your mouth,
yeah,
so,
that's the simplest. I mean, I've honestly never thought about the lighting thing, but
yeah.
that's the idea of having it up against something is that if you did illuminate it, it's not going to be shining down the street, towards your neighbor's house or anything like that.
Only have them illuminated during the approved business hours that we have to, our limit. Because we were only going to allow your business to be open a certain amount of time too.
Yeah.
So we could do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm still trying to pull up more information about it and see what other cities are doing.
We have a question in the audience.
Oh, yes.
We talked a little bit about this last time, Jason. Some businesses don't require any signs, and they wouldn't require a whole lot of parking. You know, I might consider cutting hair and doing nails in my home. It doesn't really need any advertising, it would be word of mouth. Would I still need a permit from the city to be able to do that?
That is already allowed in the city limits at this point, something like that. This is a bit more of like a retail setting that they're talking about.
Just wanted to make sure.
But yeah, I mean, if you're running a business where you're making income and you have to report to the state that you're making income, then yes, you need to have a business license. But that's already permitted in the regulations that we're talking about.
Yes.
Time, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. seems like an awful.
And allowing 4 employees to show up at 6 a.m. at a house.
Yeah, if they were my neighbors, I'd be a little. 6 a.m. to 9, that seems like a long time.
Let's see where that is.
Okay.
Did you write that down?
Nice catch. That is a long time.
And over 5 acres, they're excluded. That doesn't make sense either.
What's that?
Over 5 acres, they're excluded.
Excluded from what?
From
Permit.
the rules.
Huh? Well, we've got over 5 acres in town. Anybody over 5 acres in town?
Mike right there.
I don't think he has 5 acres.
There are parcels in town that have 5 acres.
Cool.
Okay. All right. We'll keep working on that.
Keep working on it.
Do you have any
Yeah.
thoughts about parking that you wanted to
Yeah,
forward that?
parking, you want to consider, like, let's say we have an in-home tax business, how many customers per day, traffic-wise, do we want to put a limit on that? We don't want 100 people a day trafficking through somebody's neighborhood.
I don't know, that's one I've not ever heard of, is limiting
Well, it's
the
happened to
number.
me once in a different residence, where a guy had a home tax business. He had 10 employees. He was bringing in hundreds of people a day in the residential area. So the city of Vancouver kicked him out and made him go to a business area.
Is there anything in the regulations about the limit of employees?
I don't believe so.
A limit.
Maybe that's
And the
something you
limit
want to
of
consider.
traffic, how many customers per day?
You want
Would you want you know, 100 people, they track them through your neighborhood.
I don't know that you're really gonna be able to limit.
Yeah, we're gonna put a calendar on the screen.
You're right. So what you could do for the two situations you're talking about is in your regulation, is putting the stipulation that states that any sign that's erected for home-based businesses is not allowed to be X, Y, and Z. It must be A, B, and C type of a thing. For the traffic situation, and the hours also, I mean, there are waking hours that people are allowed to be doing things to be able to make noise in the public without it being illegal. I think they are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Captain, are you familiar with those hours of?
I got promoted. I'm not a captain, but
You are now. Lieutenant? No.
well, it depends. I don't know what kind of city ordinance you have exactly on your.
I can't remember if it starts at 6 a.m. or not, but I know the noise ordinance goes until 10 p.m.
I think that's like a state thing also.
Well, in the county, we have no noise ordinance per se, so it's totally different. It's on individual
Oh, is
entities
it?
kind
Oh,
of.
okay.
So.
So whatever your hours are for that, you know, and there should be something in there that states that your business can't become a nuisance to the city and,
Oh,
and the neighbors.
That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
The way some, like Vancouver University was, how many customers per day? You know, 20, 50, 100. You want that many people coming.
But you might very well be able to have 20 or 30 customers per day, but not have it impede the area just based on how it happens.
Well, visiting customers, you know.
Right.
Would you want that, you know, especially tax time, yeah.
I thought something else, that was part of the discussion, was limiting the number of businesses per certain area. Is that still on the table also? Or is it just open that everybody in this block, if they want to have a home-based business, everybody can do it? Or was it going to be limited
I
to?
don't remember that.
I remember the topic being brought up
Yeah,
near the very beginning,
right.
but I don't think it's something that council has spent any time discussing.
I personally think 6 a.m. should be illegal. That is ridiculous. I mean, seriously,
But Leona, you could go out at 6 a.m. and mow your yard.
but I wouldn't. Actually, I'm very careful when I start making noise.
Yeah. I think you should be.
Anything else here? Now, the council needs, do they have any discussion on, any more discussion on the occupational language? And we've done
I think
that.
we're done.
Okay,
For now.
I just was seeing if that was the end. And council to consider resolution 15-2019, Lewis County Sheriff Office contract. That's number 2. The second item is the business for the council to consider that resolution 15-2019. The 2018 and 2019 law enforcement contract with the Sheriff's Office. Do we have a motion for the resolution? A motion to...
I move to approve Resolution 15-2019, authorizing the mayor to execute the memorandum of understanding with Lewis County Sheriff's Office for law enforcement services substantially as written.
A motion to approve the resolution has been submitted by... And do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Who was that? I'm sorry. Jason.
Okay. The motion's been seconded by Jason. Is there any council discussion? All of those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is passed. The third item of business is for council to hear a report from the city clerk on the status of the 3 topics listed. Jill, would you like to please give your report?
Sure. Thank you. So since I was not here at the last meeting, I did listen to the recording about these items and saw that, or heard that council is supportive of working on some language to allow pet pigs. And that I listened to what you guys said about that, and then also that council was supportive of looking into making some kind of an exception to allow a park host to live in an RV at the park property for security reasons. And so since I just got back on Monday, I have not had time to get that together to a point where I felt like it was something I could present to you. So, but I didn't want it to get fallen off and into the black hole, so I put it on here just to report to let you know that I'm working on it, and hopefully I'll have something for you for the next meeting. The third item, the sewer regulations update, that if you recall is that we haven't updated our sewer regulations since 2010. Actually, the majority of it since a lot longer ago than that. And as our city attorney was looking through it, she really felt that it was not sufficient to protect the city and to be clear. And so last year, Mayor Ken Smith gave her the authority to go ahead and write up an update to that. And so with the changes that we have been doing with the sewer rate structure and such, she's finishing up kind of tweaking that, and we would like to have that for council at the next meeting to begin to consider that. And it's going to be longer. I'm sorry, I know it's going to be a lot of words, but that's a really important ordinance to make sure that it is extremely clear what the processes are and what the different regulations are for the sewer, for running the sewer system. So just be prepared.
You could keep it to 3 pages.
Oh no, the old one wasn't 3 pages. So yeah, it's one of those ones that does have quite a bit of language in it. But we got to be fair. We're dealing with people's properties and what they can and can't do, and what the city can and can't do. And so there's a lot of legality that has to be taken into account. So just giving you a heads up there, but we should have that for you at the next meeting. The other thing I'll add that we also need to have council look at the next meeting is Mr. Gross mentioned the transportation element of the comprehensive plan. We have a 6-year transportation improvement plan that we're supposed to update every year, and I think the last time we updated ours was 2014. So we will have that for you guys. Basically, it's just a list of the streets that need work, like the top 10 projects, street projects, and how much we think they might cost, and possibly an idea of where we might get funding. And so we'll have that.
Didn't we do that when we did the strip seal?
Yeah, we use that
okay.
as part of that. Yeah, if we have to have this updated list to get grant monies and things like that, we have to show that these items are on there. Yeah, that's where that chart comes from. But anyways, yeah. But we will have that for you at the next meeting as well. So that's my update.
Okay, any public comment?
Let's see. Does not look like we have any public comment. No one has signed up. We have a hand though.
Okay.
I had a question regarding your park host living in an RV in the park. The liability that the city has for insurance purposes if something happens with regard to that person?
We haven't got that far yet. We're just starting to look into it.
Okay.
So.
There's going to be a lot of looking.
Yeah, this would be like the top of the list.
Well, it's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
The city will be voting on issues in November for Vader, right? Is that when you're voting?
Like new elected officials kind of thing, or?
Well, when do you vote on issues? Isn't voting in November? Are you going to vote on things that you want to do in the town or something?
No.
We kind of do that on a meeting basis,
There won't be any issues on the ballot as far as I know for Vader related,
Okay, that's what I'm gonna do.
other than public officials.
Okay, I wondered if you were bringing that up on the open house.
I think the last time we had something that was Vader related that wasn't a public official was the name change. I think that was the last thing that we had.
Okay.
That coming up again.
I don't think so.
Any other elected official comments? No? Well,
Well, I just wanted to add what he says
okay.
on the liability thing. Plus, it's not just something happens to the person there, but what about the liability of the RV itself, the sewage, that sort of thing?
Liability.
You have, you don't want to pollute the creek anymore, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So there's more than just one type of liability to consider.
It's true.
I think that we should look at the liability part of, if we can afford the insurance, upgrade insurance to protect the person down there.
Mm-hmm.
So far as writing a bunch of stuff first, I think we should find that out first before we spend a bunch of money writing, my opinion.
Well,
Do we need to vote on the city hall stuff? We need to bring
No,
that up?
the way I understood it is you only have to, so what you, at the last council meeting, you guys approved the resolution, but you said in your motion that you added that we would answer the phones during the lunch break, but it wasn't specific language, and when I listened to that, I went, we can't say that employees have to answer the phone on their lunch break. And so we had to, because that would be a big
That's not a break.
HR nightmare, yeah.
No more grants.
I brought it to the attorney and I said, what do we got to do to make this right? Because they want to make sure that if somebody is there and they're not on their break, that they can answer the phones. But but it's not limiting them so that they can't take a break, that kind of legality. So she said, because of the way you proposed the motion, that we could propose the language to insert the language into the resolution, and that your motion would be sufficient if everyone agreed that the language that we put in there met what you were trying to say in the motion. So if everyone agrees that that language is sufficient, then we don't have to do anything else, and Lois can go ahead and sign it, and that motion that you said is fine. If anybody feels like the language that was proposed there was not what was intended by that motion, then you need to bring it up again and do another motion.
Is your lunch break 30 minutes or 60 minutes?
We have up to 60 minutes.
And you usually take your lunch at the same time together?
Usually Tammy doesn't take a lunch break.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
because she's only there 5.5 hours.
Yeah, usually she just eats while she's doing it, or eats on a 15-minute break that she doesn't have to clock out for, So, sometimes I take a break, sometimes I don't take a break, sometimes I take 30 minutes, sometimes I take an hour. It just depends on the day.
Mr. Goff?
May I ask, was the office open while you were on vacation?
Yes. Yes.
And
How does that work, you're asking?
Yeah.
Well, so the auditors kind of give us a pass for situations like that because, one, they require that 2 people are here in order to have the office open. But at the same time, they also require that the city clerk take at least 5 days off in a row. So they understand, that's another safety thing that they do for, anyways, that they require. So because of the size of our city, they give us an allowance for that. We have other safeguards in place to help mitigate when I'm gone. Like we have a different employee come in and help count the money, and so that we have 2 sets of eyes on things. And there are things that we've worked out with the auditors because they know we have to be able to take vacations, but at the same time they want us to make sure that we're not open whenever it's possible. We're not open unless there's 2 people here. So it's kind of one of those things that they work with the small cities a little bit to help us accommodate those situations as much as possible. Does that kind of answer the question?
If you get wrote up for something like that,
Yeah.
that would get into us getting grants. We wouldn't be able to, would we?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I don't.
I don't know if they give us check marks.
But
Be something more serious, right?
yeah.
Jill, you said that there's, excuse me, you said that it's not in the budget to have another third part-time person to help you out like in the middle of the day.
Well, that's up to council to decide. That's not up to me.
Good?
So
It's been working
not
so
a
far.
discussion item really on the
Yeah.
agenda, so.
I come to And public comment, elected official, it's time to adjourn.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Okay. And it is 10 till 7.